Mr. Butler, one more time, sir.
And that smile one time.
Gerard.
Jerry, on your left. Jerry, straight ahead.
And Gerard, that smile, sir. Gerard, look to the right, mate.
Jerry, on the right.
Gerard, on the right side.
Jerry, right here, please. Guys, together one time right here. Get it. One more time, get it.
And Gerard, together to the right.
And together, guys, those smiles right there. Guys, all the way down, please. And one last kiss, Gerard.
What is the problem? And Jada Piper to the right. Ladies to the right. Jada,
We
look
get
at
the
that.
front one time, two Jada in the front.
And
All the way, there you go. Hold that beautiful smile.
And Miss Baker right here, please.
And Jada.
And Piper, the front of the outfit, Piper.
Straight ahead, Piper. Straight ahead.
And Piper, one. You guys, same time together on the right.
Thank you. Sir.
On the right side here, sir. There we go.
Nick, straight ahead, sir.
And
Nick, straight ahead.
Mr. Noakey, one smile.
And the right together, guys.
And Rick looking right, sir. Rick. Big Jada, Piper, here we go. Turn to your right.
No.
Kelly on the right side, Kelly. Miss Osborne to the right. Kelly, right here for me, please, Kelly.
Together, big smile. Jack, straight ahead, there it is. Hold up. Right there, big smile.
Hey guys, just turn towards me.
No smiles right up here, guys.
Here, guys, smile right here. Thank you.
Beautiful smile. Hold that right there. Very nice. And how about that kick? Emily, that smile. Big smile right there.
Emily on the right.
That gorgeous smile up here, right there. That smile. Very nice. You wave.
Well, I think Gerry Butler infuses him with honor to his country and to all the people who work for the government. And he infuses it with his charisma and his love of family and love of nation. Well, I don't think it's put the final one because we're talking about some more. But it's put an exclamation point in that this one delves into Mike's psyche and Mike's emotional state and his physical state after being through the wars. And this is just another sequence in the Has Fallen franchise.
His character is developing into something other than just an action hero. I say just not because this is not a fun roller coaster film and a good popcorn film, and I hope everybody enjoys it, but because underneath the surface there's a complexity to the man, and there's a damage that he's had to endure, and because of that he's changed. And if there were to be more Angel Gerard Butler films in this trilogy, if there were to be a fourth, there's a lot more to explore. How does it do it? It does it all guns blazing. It does it. I mean, there's a real purity to these kind of films, and you know whether the suspense works or whether it doesn't, It's like a gun at a start line, you know, which it fires and all runners go, and hopefully the trajectory is enjoyable, and we want to have fun, but there, as I said, other levels to this film, I believe. They should expect something which is fun and enjoyable and a roller coaster and suspenseful and exciting, but they should also expect something that is about human nature, and about the ripples from violence and war and how they affect the psyche, and how these men have great difficulty communicating in the normal civilized world.
Listen, he participates in the biggest, craziest of stories. So there's always a lot of action. He gets to be, on the one hand, very vulnerable in some ways, and also incredibly brutal and vengeful. There's a lot of different sides to him, and I get, you know, and his humor I love. So it's just fun to kind of go on a ride with him in these journeys, where the whole world seems to be falling apart, you know. But this one was interesting because it's not the whole world. The world is possibly falling apart, but it's really him. He has a lot of issues that he has to deal with, and then the whole world seems to turn against him, and now he's on the run and has to pull every stop out to you know, get to the bottom of what's going on, and they're all pummeling him. He's just, you know, it's like he's being tried more than he's ever been tried in the franchise. Yeah. You know what? That's a good question, because I do feel, and what I've been hearing is it is the last big summer action movie. I mean, it's balls to the wall. It's full on action. It's fun. It has loads of heart, and you know, it's like we've kind of taken it in a different direction. It feels like The Fugitive meets Bourne. So it has all the action, all the heart, all the comedy, and I think it's one of those ones you got to see it in the cinema. Having seen it a couple of times now in the cinema, the bigger the screen, the better.
I play Agent Helen Thompson, and she's an FBI, head of the FBI, and she is chasing Gerard Butler, Mike Banning, down for being framed for attempting to assassinate the President of the United States, which Morgan Freeman plays. And what I really love about this particular role is that it's a female role that's head of the FBI, and that this little old me, this little petite lady, is chasing down big old Mike Banning. Yeah, I mean, Mike is kind of like your quintessential, like, all-American, loyal, giving all of his heart and soul for his country. You just admire men like that. And you want him to win. And I think even in this movie, the fact that we learn so much about his background, his family life, you invest even more into his character personally. And, you know, when he is framed for attempting to assassinate the president, and now the good guy is being framed as the bad guys, I mean, it's pretty heartbreaking. You know, you're just like, come on already, figure it out. You know, it's like one of those movies that just keeps you at the edge of your seat. It is a nostalgic action film. Yeah. Hardcore adrenaline rush. Like, you're gonna be biting your nails. Literally, you're gonna be sitting at the edge of your seat. And you don't get any reprieve in this movie. Not one, not until the end.
Jared kind of exudes a bit of a rough bad boy thing, and for a guy who's ex-special forces who's a real killer, but at the same time that you want to care about. I just feel like that mix of sensitivity and at the same time dangerous, you twinkle in his eye, you don't really know what he's thinking, works perfectly for this character. Audiences should expect the same thing that I said before. Great action, great characters, and great story.
I'm very enthusiastic as long as an audience is enthusiastic.
It's an estranged relationship. The father has not been around, primarily because of war. Vietnam was too much for him, and he didn't feel that he could adapt back into society. We see that a lot with the warriors. He's still a warrior, obviously, because he's mined his whole place, So when he finds out it's his son, he's really conflicted. He's got to try to explain to his son why he left, and then there comes the humor, in trying to explain something you cannot explain, So Jerry had a good time with it, We both did.
I play Leah Banning, Mike's wife. What I admire about him is I think it's a sort of tall order to be married to Mike Banning, but she doesn't shy away from her opinion. She's really his equal, and when she thinks something isn't good for him, she's not afraid to stand her ground. I think why fans like Mike Banning is that he's not perfect. You know what I mean? He has flaws. You see a lot of them in this movie, what's going on with him at home and him personally. And I think, nobody's perfect and all our jobs are stressful, and he has a really stressful job protecting the president, but I think it's relatable. I mean, I think what audiences can expect is learning a lot more about the characters you already love. And also, it's nice to live in a world where Morgan Freeman's president.
I think because he's unrelenting. He's a man that never gives up. And I also loved, in the first two movies, I loved his truth. Like, there was nothing false about him, including violence. Didn't matter what it was. He was always going to let you know right where you stood. And I think that what's interesting about this one is we wanted to make more of an origin story of Mike Banning in a much more deep and complex way, and meet a man in crisis who has always been of truth, but now is he lying to himself? Can he still do the job? Even though he's addicted to the adrenaline of it, coming from special operations as an Army Ranger right into Secret Service, it's like a professional athlete. You'll do everything you can to stay in the game, and that's where we meet him. And I thought it was a really interesting portrayal. And what I love about Jerry, Gerard Butler, is he's unrelenting as well. And we had the confidence to go and show that we can have characters and heroes now that show their flaws, warts and all, and we get empathetic with them, and we're with them, not like a lot of these modern day heroes we're seeing now that are impervious to pain, impervious to danger. We made him mortal. I think it's this big action-packed ride like the first two were, but you get a more character in-depth study now to where you get an emotional attachment to the action. Hopefully what you get with us is you go on this big kick-ass ride, but you don't feel like you're a voyeur watching something on the screen. You feel like you're a participant. You feel like you're in it with these people. And so you get this great story and these unbelievable characters. You get to meet Mike Banning's dad, played by Nick Nolte, for the first time. And it's just got this cool origin story where all the things you wanted to know about Mike Banning in the first two, hopefully we're answering a bunch of them. And I think so it's about this evolution of it in a new way. We didn't ever want to make a sequel. We want it to be a new installment. So it's either the origin story for those that have seen the franchise, and if you hadn't seen the franchise, the first two movies, it's a great entry point to come meet these characters and really get to know them.